Welcome to this deep dive, curated just for you. We're going to be exploring fasting today.
Yeah?
It's this practice that fascinated people, for centuries. And you sent us some really interesting sources that explore both the science
Yeah.
and impact of fasting.
Right.
We have a scientific paper called Long-Term Fasting-Induced Ketosis,
Okay.
a government article about Nobel laureate Yoshinori Ohsumi, and a YouTube interview with Dr. Ohsumi himself.
Very cool.
Our mission is to kind of distill the key insights from these sources for you.
Sounds good.
So let's jump right in.
All right.
A scientific paper, Long-Term Fasting-Induced Ketosis,
Yeah.
really offers a deep understanding of what happens in our bodies physiologically when we fast.
Yeah, it really gets into like the nitty-gritty of what happens at a molecular level.
It does.
As our glucose levels drop during fasting, our bodies make a switch,
Okay.
metabolically speaking,
Right.
from using glucose as fuel
Right.
to using stored fat. And this process, this is what generates ketone bodies,
Okay.
leading to a state that we call ketosis.
Now, ketosis is a term we hear everywhere these days.
It is.
And I think it's often misunderstood
Yeah.
or even confused with ketoacidosis,
Yeah. Very important point.
which is dangerous.
It's crucial to understand that fasting-induced ketosis is completely natural and safe.
Yeah.
Our bodies have evolved,
Okay.
sophisticated mechanisms to make sure that those ketone levels
Right.
don't reach a harmful level.
That's great to know.
Yeah.
Because it means we can explore fasting
Right.
for its potential benefits without worrying about getting into trouble.
Exactly.
The paper also revealed that the intensity of ketosis varies significantly among individuals.
It does.
So that made me curious. What factors did they find that contribute to that variation?
That's one of the fascinating things. So
Yeah.
things like age, gender,
Okay.
even how physically active you are can influence how much ketones you produce when you're fasting.
So even minimal carbohydrate intake can impact how deep you go into ketosis.
It can. One of the things they found was that
Oh.
people who only consumed soup, like no fruit juice or honey during the fast,
Okay.
they showed a more intense ketonuria.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So it really highlights the need for a personalized approach
It really does.
to fasting.
There is no one-size-fits-all
Right.
for fasting.
What other correlations did they find?
Well, they found that the participants that had higher levels of ketonuria
Got it.
tended to be younger.
Okay.
They had higher body weight
Yeah.
and experienced greater reductions
Wow.
in blood glucose, glycated hemoglobin levels, body weight, and waist circumference during the fast.
That suggests a really complex interplay
It does.
between individual factors
Yeah.
and the body's response.
Uh-huh.
Now let's move on to Dr. Yoshinori Ohsumi,
Okay.
the Nobel Prize winner, featured in the other two sources you gave us. His work on autophagy has revolutionized the way we think about cellular processes.
Absolutely.
And I'm curious how it relates to fasting.
So Dr. Asumi's research is truly groundbreaking.
Yeah.
Autophagy is essentially
yeah.
your body's way of recycling at the cellular level.
Okay.
It's a process where cells break down and reuse old or damaged parts
Wow.
to ensure that the cell is functioning optimally.
So it's like our body's own internal cleaning crew.
Exactly. Constantly working to keep things running smoothly.
And the paper that we talked about mentions that one of the benefits of fasting
Yes.
is that it activates autophagy.
That's right.
So tell me a little bit more about how that works.
When our cells are deprived of nutrients during fasting,
Okay.
they become more resourceful.
They have to.
Right, they have to.
Yeah.
So they ramp up autophagy to break down and reuse existing components.
Okay.
And this has been linked to so many benefits.
Wow.
Reduced inflammation, better insulin sensitivity,
Wow.
even protection against neurodegenerative diseases.
This is especially relevant to you,
Very much so.
considering your research on how to mitigate risk factors for those diseases.
That's right.
Thanks to Yoshinori's work on autophagy,
Yes,
fasting is now on the map of respect in the medical community.
indeed it is.
It's really brought a lot of attention to the potential benefits of fasting.
It has.
His work shows that autophagy plays a crucial role in preventing diseases like Parkinson's
Yes.
and potentially even slowing down aging.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah,
The implications are huge.
they are.
It really has opened up
Yeah.
new avenues for understanding the impact of fasting
Right.
on our health
Right.
at a cellular level.
Now, I want to dive in a little deeper into
Okay.
the mechanics of autophagy.
Sure.
Can you explain how
Yeah.
this cellular recycling process actually works?
So imagine your cells have these little recycling crews that
Yeah.
are constantly at work.
Yeah.
These crews are responsible for identifying and collecting cellular waste, damaged components, even invading pathogens.
That's pretty efficient.
It is. This collected material is then transported to a special compartment within the cell called the lysosome.
Okay.
You can think of the lysosome as like a cellular incinerator.
I like that visual.
Yeah.
Okay.
So powerful enzymes within the lysosome break down that waste material into its basic building blocks.
Okay.
And these recycled components are then released back into the cell to be used for energy production or to create new molecules.
Wow. So autophagy keeps our cells clean and efficient.
Exactly.
And
It keeps those cells functioning at their best.
It's fascinating how our bodies have these systems in place,
Just remarkable.
but maintain cellular homeostasis.
Absolutely. And as we talked about, fasting can really upregulate this process, enhancing that efficiency of cellular cleaning and repair.
Makes you think about
how this could be used.
Therapeutically.
Absolutely. Researchers are looking at all sorts of ways to manipulate autophagy to promote health and combat disease.
Now, let's talk a little bit more about Dr. Ohsumi's journey and what led him to this discovery.
Yeah.
The YouTube interview that you shared gives some insight into his motivation and the challenges that he faced.
Dr. Ohsumi's path to the Nobel Prize was not typical.
Interesting.
He actually first studied chemistry.
Oh, wow.
But later switched to biology, drawn to the emerging field of molecular biology.
It's amazing how a change in focus can lead to such amazing discoveries.
Absolutely.
What drew him to autophagy specifically?
He was just fascinated by the workings of the cell. He wanted to understand the fundamental processes of life. In the late 1980s, he started studying yeast cells. A very simple but powerful model organism for this research. And he became really intrigued by the vacuole. It's this large compartment within yeast cells that is known to break things down. And that's where he made his first observations of autophagy.
That's right.
Exactly. Using a light microscope, he observed these tiny vesicles engulfing cellular components and delivering them to that vacuole for degradation.
That's amazing.
This is what sparked his decades-long research into the complexities of autophagy.
It's amazing how a single observation can spark such a monumental scientific journey.
And it speaks to the power of following your curiosity.
It does. His story really reminds us that these groundbreaking discoveries often come from people who dare to ask fundamental questions and just follow their curiosity.
Wherever it leads, his dedication and perseverance
are truly inspiring.
They are.
His work earned him a Nobel Prize and has opened up so many doors for researchers to explore the intricacies of autophagy and its implications for human health.
Speaking of which, the long-term fasting-induced ketosis paper also highlighted some findings regarding uric acid levels during fasting. They found that as ketone levels rise in the blood, the excretion of uric acid in urine actually decreases.
Interesting. So it seems counterintuitive.
Right?
Because we think of high uric acid
as a bad thing. We associate it with problems like gout.
Exactly. But the paper offers an explanation for this. Ketones and uric acid compete for the same transport mechanisms in the kidneys. So during fasting, your body prioritizes the excretion of ketones
over uric acid.
So basically the body is shifting its focus to eliminating ketones, which are the primary fuel source during fasting. But what about the potential negative effects of elevated uric acid?
That's a good question. And it's important to remember that uric acid is also a potent antioxidant.
That's a good point.
So that increase in uric acid during fasting could actually be beneficial in some ways.
How so?
Well, remember that fasting leads to a decrease in glucose and insulin levels. And those are known to promote oxidative stress. So the increase in uric acid might actually be a way for the body to counteract that stress.
Interesting.
And protect itself from damage.
Like our bodies have this system of checks and balances.
They do. They're very smart.
Yeah, they are.
And they adapt to these changes that are brought on by fasting. It is. And to further support that idea, the ketone body beta-hydroxybutyrate, which is also produced during fasting, has been shown to suppress inflammation.
Oh, wow.
Which could help mitigate any negative effects of that elevated uric acid.
So the study suggests that the increase in uric acid during fasting might not be a cause for concern.
Not necessarily.
It really highlights the complexity of the body's response to fasting.
It's complex, and we're still learning so much about it.
There's still so much that we're learning about this ancient practice and its impact on our health.
And studies like this one are paving the way for a more nuanced understanding of fasting, moving beyond those simplistic views and really exploring that intricate interplay of these metabolic pathways and physiological responses.
It's exciting to think of.
It is.
The future of fasting research and the potential that it holds for unlocking new strategies for disease prevention. And healthy aging.
As we delve deeper into the science of fasting, we are going to uncover even more fascinating insights into the body's ability to adapt, heal, and thrive. It seems like we're just scratching the surface.
I know. And what's really interesting is it challenges our idea of what's a healthy level of uric acid. It's all about context.
Exactly.
It's a great reminder that the body's response to fasting is really complex.
Very complex.
And multifaceted.
Absolutely.
It seems counterintuitive that something our bodies do naturally this could have so many surprising effects.
It speaks to how adaptable our physiology is.
Yeah.
You know, we evolved to thrive under different conditions, and fasting is just one example of that.
This deep dive has been so enlightening.
It has.
We've explored the metabolic shift that happens during fasting, the intricate workings of autophagy, the potential benefits and considerations of ketosis, and even the unexpected role of uric acid.
It all ties together.
It does. It's amazing how these seemingly disparate pieces of information all connect to give us this picture of fasting and how it impacts our health.
It's been a very rewarding exploration.
It has.
From the molecular level of ketosis to the cellular level with autophagy.
What stands out to you most from our conversation?
For me, it's just the interconnectedness of all of this, the way that fasting triggers all these changes from ketosis to autophagy and how these can have such a big impact on our health and how long we live.
It makes you think about the power of simple interventions.
It does.
Like fasting to affect our biology.
Yeah, on such a fundamental level.
It really underscores the need for more research in this area.
Absolutely. There's still so much we don't know.
It's an exciting field.
It is.
With a lot of promise.
It is.
And remember, this is just the beginning of your exploration.
That's right.
We've given you a good foundation, but keep digging deeper.
Yeah, keep asking those questions.
And for more deep dives into the fascinating world of science and knowledge,
yes,
be sure to click like and subscribe to our Unlock Your Mind podcast.